Welcome to all the students. In this presentation, in this lecture, I am going to discuss the topic that is production planning and control. The topic is taken from unit number 3 for the course RAS 601 Industrial Management. The subject is meant for BTech 6th semester students from all the branches. During the presentation, I'll talk about the subtopics as production planning and control, the need of production planning and production control in an organization, the objectives of production planning and control, the factors that are affecting production planning and control. They are the various functions that can be performed by production planning cell as well as production controlling cell. And we'll compare the two terms, that is production planning as well as production control, at the end. To start with the topic, first we'll define about what is the production planning and what is production control, and overall what is production planning and control cell is, and what the people are, what the people do actually in an organization. As the name suggests itself, production planning and production control, it may be defined as the direction and coordination of the firm's material as well as other facilities towards the attainment of prescribed production goals in the most efficient and economic manner. Basically, when we talk about production planning, it is nothing but to plan the activities that are carried during the production of a good. When we talk about production control, it's a corrective technique, corrective measures or actions that are taken while the things goes wrong or not optimizing exactly. And so in order to optimize the activities, one should go to production planning and controlling. In the words of Samuel Ilian, production planning is the highest efficiency in the production is obtained by manufacturing the required quantity of product of the required quality at required time by the best and cheapest method. And production planning and control cell and people working under production planning as well as production control cell ensure that productivity, efficiency, and process effectiveness remains in the air during the production process. This is done by establishing an exact route of each and individual item that is passed through the shop floor, the parts or assembly, etc. The purpose can be done by setting the starting and finishing dates for each important item or assembly, and the finished product are released for the necessary orders as and when the customer is meant for that. Customer is demanded the product. It also involves initiating the required follow-up to effectuate the smooth functioning of the enterprise. As the planning is important, in the similar way, the control is also important. Unless and until the activities will not be controlled in a proper manner, there is no means of planning. If the entire planning will get fails if the control will not be there. Next, we'll see the objectives of production planning and control cell, or people who are working under this particular department. Their objective is to ensure production of right quantity of product at right time in a right manner, and to maintain the flexibility during the pre-production operation to accommodate rush job or to meet the contingencies, if any. Their objective is to establish the production limits and to meet those limits within the specified time, Their objective is to ensure smooth flow of production by removing the bottleneck during the process, if any. And they have to coordinate machine as well as labor and other inputs for optimum utilization of resources. They also help to purchase department as well as the supply for material to suit production rate. Their ultimate objective is to minimize the cost of production and ensuring quality of the output. They have to ensure that jobs are completed in time on timely basis and delivery schedule remains proper. And they have to provide the alternative production strategies, that is plan B in case of any emergency. And for that, they have to establish target and check it on the regular basis against the performance. Next slide talk about the factor affecting production planning and control. There are a number of factors that affect the production planning. The factors may be the nature of product, the type of manufacturing process, market and the demand of product in the market, customer orders, etc. Basically, some of these factors are influenced by and depends on internal environment, whereas some other factors are taken from external environment. All external as well as internal factors affect the production planning as well as control. Planning is related with the forecasting, and demand comes from the market itself. Unless and until demand will not be forecasted properly, then one cannot plan. And so customer as a force and market as a force to manufacture about to forecast in a proper way. Unless and until forecasting will not be there, one cannot plan properly. So forecasting is one of the first and foremost task of this production planning cell. Another thing production department have to take care about the capacity of the manufacturer. If the manufacturer's financial as well as other type of capability, resource capability is not so much big or high, that is the firm is of low size or medium size, then they have to plan accordingly. And also the type of product matters a lot. Like if the manufacturer is concerned or if they are producing the seasonal product, then obviously they have to plan accordingly and they have to anticipate the demand of from the market before the season or have to started, before the arrival of the season. And all these factors affect the production planning as well as controlling. There are a number of functions that are carried out, that have to be taken place by the people from production planning as well as production control cell. These functions, some of the functions are related to the on paper as well as off paper or operational functions. When we talk about on paper functions, there are certain planning related functions, like we can say prior planning can be done on the basis of forecasting or estimation technique, order writing or prescribing the consumer's demand, and product design, that is specify the features of the product that is embedded in the product. All these things comes under the category of prior planning. And after the prior planning takes place, action planning or operational planning is to be carried out by ensuring proper process planning, proper routing, to prepare a proper route chart for that, by using proper material controlling techniques, by planning regarding the tool control, by planning regarding to assign the job to each and every worker who is working on the plant, assigning the work to the resources, and to schedule the activities, the time that which type of activity will be performed, sequence of operations has to be decided under these action planning. After completing the planning phase, the actual performance, actual operation has to be takes place. So during this phase, dispatching is an important function carried out by the production planning cell. They are the people who provide who give the decision, or who give the suitable order that when such kind of raw material should be dispatched from the store in order to process on the shop floor. And so dispatch card are prepared. And last but not least, the control phase comes, in which progress report is to be taken in terms of collecting and interpreting the data, and corrective actions may be taken in terms of taking follow-up decisions, follow-up procedures, or we can say expediting, and replan or reschedule the things if goes in the wrong direction. So to start with the functions, the number of functions, important functions carried out by the production planning cell as forecasting or estimating the demand of consumers. The first and foremost function of PPC cell is to estimate the demand. As you can see in this slide, that first function is estimating or forecasting the demand. Estimating decides the quality of the output to be produced and the cost involved in it. Unless and until the manufacturer or marketeer will not forecast the demand of the product, they cannot take the decision related to supply the material, supply the goods. If the good is available somewhere on less cost, like China products are very cheap and they are easily available, and so it is good for a marketeer to go to purchase those products or and sell out them, rather than manufacture the same goods at higher cost. Because if the cost of production will be more than those Chinese goods, then there will be no benefit provided to the manufacturer itself, to the consumer itself, because consumer always compares their purchases with the utility attained by the consumption of good. And if the product performance will achieved at higher cost, at higher prices, then obviously number of consumers who are not brand loyal, or they don't have adequate purchasing parity, they will move towards the other good. And so it is important to estimate the correct demand of consumers from the market itself. This can be done on the basis of either sales forecast or by taking the feedback from the customer itself. Both these tasks are performed by the marketing division of the company, and they were in the communication, they are always in the communication with the production cell people and provide the necessary data to those people, to those planning people, that we have to meet the demand and such products are required in the market. For this, once the forecasting process takes place, estimation of demand takes place, then accordingly manpower, machine, material requirements are arranged, and a bill of material is prepared listing all the items needed to manufacture the desired product or services. And the time of supply of the material also an important factor that is communicated by the marketing people to the planning people, that at what time the product is required by the consumer, and accordingly various types of inventory, various levels of inventory are determined by the planning people. This is first and foremost important point or function that is considered by the planning people. Unless and until forecasting will not be accurate, they cannot plan production process. Next function is routing. It's another function, another important function, which means to decide the sequence of operation, we can say, like to determine the path or route through which the manufacturing operations takes place on the shop floor, and establishes a proper sequence of operation on the shop floor is nothing but the routing. The objective of routing is to increase the productivity. Like if the route is not proper, if the layout is not proper, and one machine is placed, after that machine number 5 is placed, after that machine number 3 is placed, after that machine number 4 is placed, then undue movement of material will take place on the shop floor, and the overall time to manufacture the good, the overall cycle time will increase. And if the overall cycle time will increase, the productivity will go down. Number of units produced will go down. Targets will not meet. And so one of the objective of routing is to determine the most feasible sequence of operation and ensure that this sequence must be followed. And another objective of routing is to utilize the physical human resources, material, machine employed on the shop floor. Another objective is to exercise the influence upon the design of the factory building and the machines. Unless and until the layout will not be proper, one cannot ensure the production process will be effective, will not be effective. And the activities that are carried out by the production planning people as to determine what to make or what to purchase as a resource. They have to determine about the material requirement, the quality of material. They have to determine the manufacturing operations and their sequences. They have to plan about the lot in which if the product is like that for which batch type production system is suitable, then they have to plan the lot size in which how much batches are prepared and number of batches. They have to determine the scrap factor, like if the number of rejectable pieces, what the manager have to do with the scrap that is produced during the operation. Another important decision during the routing for the routing is to determine the cost of operation, and all such activities carried by the planning cell people. In order to conduct those activities are prescribed as specified in the last slide. A routing procedure is prepared. The planning people analyze the product first to determine various requirements for the manufacturing. They have to determine the manufacturing operations that are required, and sequence of those operations are also be estimated. Further, they have to determine the number of units that are to be manufactured in each and every lot or order. After deciding out the lot size, they have to decide the scrap or residual that arises, that produced during the processing stage, and they have to prepare a proper production order, job cards, labor card, inspection card, tool ticket cards, and all such type of formats they have to design. And they also have to determine the estimated cost of production. This is how the routing takes place on the end of planning people during the production planning phase. There are a number of advantages of routing, like once the possible route to flow the material is identified, then resources can be optimized, the use of resource can be optimized, the cost of production can be minimized, the quality of product can be improved, and on the basis of routing itself, scheduling as well as loading. Loading means to assign the job to the workers or to allocate the work to the resources. Whereas scheduling provides a kind of knowledge related to what kind of operation is performed, when the activity will schedule, which operation will perform first and which one will be the next or second operation. Next, we will discuss about scheduling techniques. Scheduling, as I told you earlier, is the assignment of work to the facility with the specification of time and the sequence in which work is to be done. The objective of scheduling is to achieve the required rate of output with a minimum delay and disruption in the production process. Another objective of scheduling is to provide the quantities of goods necessary to maintain finished inventory at level predefined to meet delivery commitments. Another objective that is taken for scheduling is to prevent unbalanced allocation of time among production department or work centers with a view to eliminate idle capacity. Further, the planning cell people have to take care about to minimize the production cost. This is another challenge that with the during all the related activities of production planning and control, the ultimate aim is the same, that is optimizing the performance, maximize the output, and to minimize the use of resources. Next is there are various types of scheduling plans and techniques that are prepared. The different types of scheduling are as master schedule or master planning schedule. This is the schedule or plan which tells about the sequence of operations as well as the time, like which activity will perform at which time. And another schedule can be prepared related to production of part, and machine loading schedule is also there, like which machine will be loaded at what time and who will work on that particular machine. The machine downtime can be calculated, machine work time can be calculated, and accordingly the maintenance schedule can also be finalized for the machine and tool itself. In order to effectively implement the scheduling technique, there are a number of pictorial as well as analytical techniques are used. These techniques ensures to the manufacturer that scheduling is properly done on the shop floor. The techniques may be used as bar chart in order to provide the knowledge that how much production takes place, how much units are produced at what day, at a particular day. Next is Gantt chart. Gantt chart provide a knowledge about the sequence of operation. It provide a pictorial representation that which one is the first activity, what are the sequential activities, the activities that are going parallelly. Another scheduling technique that may be probabilistic or it may be deterministic in nature, like CPM and PERT. And by using this scheduling technique, one can ensure the effective implementation of the production process as well as to ensure the optimization of resources within the plant. There are various advantages of scheduling as a process. It helps to minimize the production cost. Also, provide it ensures that less investment in the material in process WIP. It also helps to minimize the storage cost and improve the customer satisfaction. No overloading of man and machine can be ensured by the proper scheduling technique. If the scheduling technique is proper, then there will be no chance of underutilization of man and machine. Good control of production. Scheduling helps to improve the goodwill of the company, and it also provide a kind of job satisfaction among the employees who are working in the organization. Another task, another function that is performed by the people from production planning cell is loading. Loading is, as I told you earlier, that it means to assign the work to the facilities. When we talk about loading, it doesn't mean ki, we have to load some material from the vehicle or not, vehicle or no, it is not the loading. Loading, when we talk about planning as a production work of planning cell, then loading means to decide how much load is to be provided to which person, how much load should be assigned to which machine, and this is loading. Loading ensures maximum possible utilization of resources and avoid the bottleneck in production. It is important to avoid either overloading or underloading. If all the people are provided with the jobs, then obviously in the equal manner, then obviously they have to perform, their performance can be assessed easily, and one can ensure the maximum utilization of resources because nobody will be overloading or underloading. The purpose of loading is to ensure the maximum utilization of resources and to eliminate the bottleneck in the production process. Also, it helps to estimate the condition of overloading or underloading, if any. Next, we'll see another function is on the action phase when the things are going on the shop floor. Then dispatching is an important function that is carried out by the production cell people, production planning cell people. Dispatching is nothing but that to ensure that whether the material is properly provided on the shop floor, whether tools are provided on the shop floor or not. And for that, to ensure that dispatch cards are prepared. And for dispatching, for implementing the dispatching, routing and scheduling are the primary steps. Unless and until sequencing of activities will not be defined, as well as the sequence are not properly communicated to the people, dispatching cannot take place. Actual production begins when order is given to commence operation according to schedule, and it can only be done by issuing the cards. Cards related to what? Cards related to provide a kind of permission to the workers that they are allowed to take that particular material, that particular tool, equipment, machine, and they can convert the raw material into finished good by permission, by proper permission. Dispatching decides by whom the work shall be done. It provides a kind of instructions or guidelines and regarding the assignment of work to the people. The dispatching department issues the requisition for all kind of inputs in the production process order and check to see that all the things are available on time or not. The number of specific functions performed for dispatching as by giving the permissions to the supervisors in terms of specification, material list, job ticket, route card, requisitions, etc. They also have to ensure that all the inputs are made available to the production departments at right time, and they have to inform the appropriate section that production is started properly, and they have to issue work order for the beginning of the manufacturing operation. After completing the action phase, the dispatching, the next and important task of the production control cell is to check the performance, evaluate the performance after collecting the data and by taking the proper follow-up. To take the follow-up of the production process is known as expediting or progressing. Progressing is an element which ensures that work is going on as per plan and delivery dates are met. The objective of this function is to control variation or deviation from the planned level. It ensures the production is proceeding according to schedule. The number of functions that are performed by the people working under production controlling cell to control the process is to determine the reasons why the variation occurs in the process. They have to identify the reasons and they have to help in eliminating those problems which arises the variation or deviation in the process. They have to be in touch with the other departments people in order to remove the problems like maintenance people, quality people, production people. They have to prepare a list of inputs which are required in order to correct and replan the schedule. There is a difference. Last but not least, we'll discuss about the difference between production planning people, the work that they are carried, and the people who are working in the production control cell. There's a difference between the work, like production planning people works for preparing the production budget. They have to devise the manufacturing methods as well as decide the sequence of operations. They have to describe the types of machines and equipments that can be used for the production process. They have to set the plant layout, and they also have to design the tool. They have to prepare the operation sheet and instruction cards. They have to undertake the time as well as motion study for the operation. They have to estimate the material requirement and manpower requirement, and accordingly they have to prepare the master production schedule. Whereas the production planning, whereas the production control cell people have to basically foresee the deviation, if any, during the all the activities that are prescribed for the planning people. They have to subdivide the master schedule into manufacturing orders and subsidiary orders. They have to check the routing. They have to check the scheduling, whether all the machines are scheduled properly or not, whether all the resources are scheduled properly or not. They have to check for during the dispatching, like dispatch cards, all kind of job orders are issued or not. They have to take the follow up on a word eye basis. They have to take care about the tool room also, and all these functions related to follow up, related to foresee the process are carried out by the production control people. That's all now. In this particular lecture, I have taken the books as the reference book as by Dr. Ravi Shankar as well as T.R. Banga's book. Thank you for your kind attention, students.